Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia. Welcome to a brand new Let's Play series on the channel for Total War 3 Kingdoms. And this is the first Let's Play that we're starting after the game has ended all its support for future DLC and content. So we are going to kick off a series of Let's Plays where we will feature a single mod, mainly overhaul mods to see what changes they make to the game, kind of introduce you guys to different mods as well as myself. I play with very little mods. But we have done Make Them Unique before with the puzzle mod, but we didn't really go for the whole mod. I think we went with the kind of character illustrator as well. And they also made many updates, and it's no surprise we put out poll and Make Them Unique 1. So we're going to be playing the 190 Zhuo campaign with Make Them Unique. I made this choice for a couple of reasons. One, Zhuo starts out with many of the new characters or new artwork that's introduced from Make Them Unique, and we can see them right away in the faction. And the new map change makes it fairly interesting to play as Zhuo. And on top of that, our previous Zhuo campaign that we played maybe on patch 1.3 got ruined when the game was updated to 1.4 and they introduced many of the new character portraits. This is when A World Betrayed was coming out. Delchan got a new portrait, and it kind of crashed our old game where many of the characters were different now, so they lost their artwork entirely. So we didn't really get to enjoy that campaign as much. So we're going to jump back in here with a new map setup where it's very defensive for us early on. We have many of the strong gate passes, which was not a thing back in those days. And we're going to test out Zhuo and the Make Them Unique mod, which is now on patch, I think, 3.2 for them. And they have about 29 characters, plus some small overhaul changes to the game. Things like character salary being a little bit different, things like armor value being fixed to make them more consistent with the artwork, which is something that I preach for in a separate video myself as well. Now, aside from Zhuo as a faction, there's also a bunch of other factions that got characters. We can maybe take a quick look at them before we jump into the game. I think Cao Cao didn't get anyone just because he already had way too many. Liu Bei picked up Jian Yong as his fellow secretary in the artwork here. We'll try to capture many of these generals. On top of Jian Yong, oh, the visor lady is going to be annoying through the whole thing. But anyways, I think Guan Yu's daughter, Guan Yinping, also got artwork, but she will come of age fairly late. Zhang Fei's son, Zhang Bao, I think also has artwork, and I think Guan Ping also has artwork as well. So there should be quite a few generals for Liu Bei as well, but most of those are second generation, so we're not going to see them until fairly late into the campaign, so I felt like Liu Bei might not be the good choice here. Sun Jian probably have a few characters. I think Lu Su got artwork, and maybe a few others, but the thing is, so many of his characters already have artwork, so I feel like we'll be burying a lot of those new MTU characters, you know, under these characters that already have art, which is, you know, full roster being showcased right here. Gong Sunzan got his wife. Yuan Shao got Wen Liang Yanchuo, and this used to be Yan Liang's art. I think he is now Chun Yuqiong, so they've been shifted a little bit. Chun Yuqiong is not that important historically, so we're going to ignore that. Korong's still alone. Tao Qian's still alone. We played Yuan Shu last time, so already experienced all these characters. Yan Xiang, Zhang Xuan, Lady Feng, Yuan Yang. So this is a campaign that we've done, so I'm not going to go with this one. And we already covered those. Liu Bao has nobody. Ma Teng picked up quite a bit. Pang De, Ma Chao, Hualan Li, Ma Yunlu. So Ma Teng's wife and Ma Teng's daughter, kind of fictional daughter. But what we're going to do with these is that they will start fairly close to our starting location, and we can try to diplomatically gain access to these generals. So that's going to be part of our goal here. Liu Chong has Luo Jun. And Lady got added to Shi Xie's faction. Although I would imagine she would spawn quite late, but it seems like she's going to start with the faction at the beginning. Okay, Zheng Jiang picked up 2 other bandits. And Zhang Yan picked up one himself as well. Okay, we'll keep our eyes out for them, and we'll stick to Zhuo, and we're just gonna jump in here. We're gonna be doing this on Legendary 40 minutes. I'll put the link to our mod in the description below, and we're gonna introduce the faction and everything once we jump into the game. There's gonna be plenty to look at because there's gonna be a bunch of new characters. This is Lu Bu's daughter. She's not the only one. There are so many females being added for Dongzhuo's faction, and we'll go over all of them once we get into game. So China must be dominated.
主公，洛阳已焚作火海。
那是自然，这全都怪那帮乱臣贼子。
乱臣贼子欲讨伐主公，并且蛊惑百姓，妄属主公之罪。
这帮贼人定要杀他们个片甲不留。曹操挺有本事，只是野心太大，早晚要毁在这上面。袁绍。 身为盟主，但其好谋而无断，自然也不足为虑。
陶谦仍与我方交好，但其言不可轻信。
这厮亮平胆薄，不足为信。跟我盟誓之人，我一个都信不过。我把这皇都给烧了，早晚也要把这帮狗贼一并烧死。
主公此举乃是拱卫天子，况主公天怒神威，无人敢挡。
Alrighty, we're loaded into the game and we are kicking off with a few marriages. Zhang Ji is marrying Zhuo Yuan, which is one of the new artworks in the game. We'll take a look at her. She is the lady who gets Cao Cao in trouble after he take control of Zhang Xiu's territory. She is Zhang Xiu's wife. Zhang Ji is Zhang Xiu's uncle. Zhang Ji will die. She'll be widowed. And I don't know if this name is real or not. I don't think her name was ever recorded. But regardless, they gave her a name here. And that was the night when Cao Cao went to go sleep with her, which really made the nephew angry. And that's on the first night of the surrender. And then Zhang Xiu kind of backstabbed Cao Cao in that situation, ambushed him inside the town, caused the death of Cao Ang, Dian Wei, and I believe one more of Cao Cao's nephew, as well as his horse. That's when Shadowrunner died as well. So she starts out with us because Zhang Ji is one of these warlords from the west who is a general under Dongzhuo. Establish your power. Lord Dongzhuo, you are wise to move west, protecting the emperor from those traitors. Their coalition is all but spent now. They will face imperial justice in time, but first you must secure your position. Chang'an is well protected, but you must expand, crushing dissident wherever it occurs. Although there are warlords still loyal to you and the Han, you must ensure their fealty never wavers. All traitors must be put to the sword. Strike back at the broken coalition around Yuan Shao. Consolidate your power. First mission, we have to capture a settlement. So a little bit different from the traditional start where you have to fight an army. Anding, which is to our north. Let's take a look. Lu Bu has to lead a force against Yellow Turbans here. Not difficult at all. I think Zhang Liao is in this army. This is the same start as you would have it in the regular game. So before we jump into gameplay, we want to take a look at the new characters, obviously, and we also want to talk about what our goals are with these campaigns going forward. These will not be our traditional Let's Plays. I think the purpose of these is to experience more mods. Now, many of you have suggested various combinations of mods or your favorite mod, and especially with MTU winning the polls, many of you asked me to add another mod called TUP or a combination of other mods to make the gameplay better. Sure, that might be the case where the combination is indeed better, but the purpose of these Let's Plays is to kind of isolate each of the mods and kind of experience what each mod changes in the game. Because if I add multiple mods together, even if they're super complementary, it's hard for me to judge which mod does what, and to kind of make note of that as we review these mods. And since our purpose is really to review the mod and kind of experience it, I think we'll gear our gameplay towards that goal. So we might not be going for like a super optimum Dongzhuo gameplay, but one maybe perhaps where we try to get a lot of these unique characters added in the mod and to see how they work, what type of abilities given to them, and what fun strategies we can create based on how the character is designed, and do our review that way. That also means I'm not going to stress too much about completing the game or maybe even playing out the campaign to the end. I think when we get to a certain point where things become kind of determined already and there's just not challenging enough, we might just call it to an end. That's maybe the case. Maybe we'll wait till some of the younger generation come of age. Maybe that's one condition we can do. And for that to happen, Liu Bei's faction needs to survive, so hopefully he will do well. He's going to take a piece of land for himself in the Dong Iron Mine in the first turn, and since we are starting out in the west, we're going to stay in the west for majority of the campaign. I think with the new terrain setup, where if we hold Hangu Guan right here, as well as Wu Guan, it's almost impossible for them to actually come attack us. The river blockades everything else. It also means we don't have access to a lot of trade routes. We can only trade by land. That really limits our partners. And I think the goal to fix that would be to expand south. Expanding to here doesn't solve anything. Like taking Ba doesn't really do much for us because the river here is also blocked. So we would have to expand all the way to Zhangke's trade port for us to have access to pretty much the rest of the map because of how the river flows. So that's just something to keep in mind. We can obviously create some vassals. That could be another strategy we could pursue. But overall, that's things we have to balance. And we also have to kind of familiarize ourselves with how Dongzhuo plays, because it's been a while, and it's intimidation, which has received a little bit of change based on the Imperial Favor being introduced. So you can see that now we have a Imperial Favor based on our intimidation value. As always, I think it's just important to keep ourselves in this highest tier and balance how we can gain intimidation with how we will spend or decay it. Mainly through fighting, I believe. Any type of fighting will increase our intimidation, and we'll use that to kind of power through. Now, it's used for character promotion. That might be an old thing, because it used to have a different title system. I highly doubt that we will pass titles out with the cost being... Yeah, it's still salary, it's money. It used to be if you want to give title promotions when you have intimidation, you have to spend that. I don't think that is the case anymore, but I could be wrong. One thing to make note, the game does change the salary system, or the mod. It should be 150, but it's only 100 in MTU. This is a buff for all factions. I think the purpose of this is because there's so many new generals, you might want to keep most of them. Therefore, they're lowering the salary just to give you a little leeway there. That's my understanding of it. Or perhaps they're just stuck on the older patch and they never changed it. But since they do upgrade quite frequently, I think this is definitely on purpose. Now, looking at some of the new characters we have, right? These are all the same setup that we would have in a regular game. 2 armies, one here, led by the same generals. We have Niu Fu, Li Jue, and Guo Si here. These are similar warlord generals from the west. Niu Fu should be our son-in-law, but I believe the game, as well as the mod, does not make that correction. So here we have Dongbai, who will have her own artwork as well. Now her age here, right, being 12 is incorrect, and the fact that she is our daughter is also incorrect. So historically, Dongbai is Dongzhuo's granddaughter, and she would die in 192 when Dongzhuo gets, killed, assassinated, and his entire clan gets wiped out. And when she died, it was actually recorded she was 16. So if we do our math, she should be 14 right now. So this is a little bit inaccurate here. But she will have her own unique art. We'll see her in 194. That'll be a great thing. I think the reason that maybe they made her 12 here is because maybe they introduced her when A World Betrayed came out. So in 194, she would come just off age or something like that. That's my guess, but I could be wrong as well. Our wife is going to be unique artwork with her own unique ability and some bonuses on the armor and new background. Our brother also have the same treatment, and you can see other generals in our rank. We have Lady Zhuo. So her title is the Queen Mother of Princess Pei. Actually, let's do it from the outside. We just want to see the family tree. Let's just go down the order here. I don't think any of the existing generals saw any change. I know that they patched up some armor values to make things more consistent, especially for robe users. But I believe most of the skills are left untouched. I wonder if they gave any unique abilities. Okay, so Li Jue here didn't get any unique abilities, so nothing was changed here. Zhang Liao, pretty much the same. He's gonna be a great, oh, he got a good gold weapon. So yeah, there are new weapons added into the game, so we gotta pay attention to those changes. So Zhang Liao here starts out with Zhu Que, I'm guessing. There exists no finer swordsmanship than Oh Ye-zi, no greater sword than his Zhu Que. So this would be a warring state period work. They have a lot of famous swordsmiths from that period. And looking at the damage here, I'm surprised by the low attack rate, because this is a single sword, but it's showing stats like a dual blade. Dual blade sword tend to be 24. Single blade, so single swords, one-handed swords should be 30. So from that front, it feels a little weaker. We're playing this on large unit size just because my stance is still the same. It's the most balanced unit size, so we're not going to change it just because the computer can play extreme. We played extreme before, but I just don't think it adds any value to gameplay. Now, the damage for large, the purpose we're mentioning unit size is because 1k obviously will scale depending on unit size. It should be the same sword damage if my memory serves as Trust of God, but the attack rate is obviously lower because Trust of God should be 30. 18 extra instinct, 10% extra armor piercing damage. That's pretty good. Now it's like 1.1k armor piercing on the sword. The base will be increased by the instinct 18 points, a couple percent, not that much, but total 68 here, 11%, so you do get like about 10% boost on each. He does make up for some of the attack rate by himself on the armor, as well as the fact that he can get Zhuo, which is 40% extra boost. So I'm thinking he can get there. He can get to like, you know, maybe 40. Can he get 40%? 40% of 15 or 25 would be like 10. And then there would be like another 5% here. Yeah, maybe not close to 40, but decently fast. Could be faster, obviously, it's what I'm trying to say. He starts with senior officer again. We got to try to get rid of this without making him unhappy. Let's see if anyone else gets anything. Dongzhuo has the same setup. I don't think he got any changes to his gear or his kit. Let's look at our wife. Don't patient. So historically, she was stated to be a very helpful wife for her husband. She kind of shared his ambition. Not too much was recorded about her, and let's see how the mod kind of portrays her. I mean, cruel, cunning, arrogant. Looks familiar? Cunning instead of greedy. I would say that's an improvement, because greedy is not that great to have unless you're like the leader, because then the corruption bonus for administrator, the extra desire, the increased ambition, those don't hurt you anymore, and you get the 6-point authority, you lose some health, not a big deal. For her, not having that's great, because we don't have that 50% desire for higher office. She's pretty happy as family member married into the ruling family. And her background bonus. So we have Empress Dong. Very ambitious. I mean, the husband's not even emperor yet, and we're claiming this title, even though the Empress Dowager this time is actually Empress Dowager Dong. So that would be a little awkward. We're looking at 60 points of stat, which is fairly normal. -5 public order if she is made into any prime minister, heir, or faction leader, and 10% income from all sources. That's a pretty good balance. I think if we're interested in farming rebels, this will actually be perfect. We can make her heir. That's definitely something we can consider. She's still a commander, and the tree, aside from the active ability, looks the same. And her armor, onyx embroidered garment, 20 points of stat, so 5 base armor. That part is pretty consistent with robe. 5 cunning, 15 authority, 10% range block chance, 5% extra retinue upkeep. Interesting. For her own retinue, and 5% extra armor for her own retinue. So she is a commander. So we're looking at running melee cav with good armor. No, that doesn't make sense. Spear guard with good armor could also work. Maybe some of our unique units. Let's take a look at her abilities to see what synergies we can have. So her first one on the left side is Force March, passive buff. can target if not general, so all the units around her within 75 meters will get this. Infinite duration, 35% speed, -5 morale, ignore ground type. So it's a different version of Nature's Ally. So we get 10% more speed than Nature's Ally, but we lose 15 points morale compared to that one, because that one's +10. This one's -5, so quite a big difference. I wonder if we still get Nature's Ally. We don't. It would be in this position for commanders. So, I mean, obviously leading cavalry, this would be great. You get 35% speed boost. Doesn't target yourself though, and also doesn't target other generals. So you're just leading troops. You'll probably be slightly behind. The speed obviously is always good, even for infantry. Speed is just kind of underrated. Plus this, that she starts out with mobility. We're looking at 60% speed boost off the bat. So if you have like a 95 militia shock cavalry, you're looking at like 155 speed at the beginning. That's pretty insane. Then her middle skill, Empress Dong, -10 points of resolve, +4 cunning, +5 authority. That's weird. The number 4 here feels a little odd. -1 satisfaction faction-wide, not a big deal. She's, you know, a commander. She'll have plenty of points to bounce that back. 4% income from all sources. So this is a passive faction-wide skill, so we definitely will click this. And also the -1% corruption all commanders. So those are both faction-wide skills where she doesn't need to be in any position, and that will be activated for us. So I think we'll try to rush this one as soon as we can. And the satisfaction obviously will kick in right off the bat. Doesn't matter if she's leader or not. And then she has a third unique, Cruel Command. So this looks kind of like a combination of most of the commander generic skills, right? We got the charge resistance, we got the melee evasion, melee attack rate, damage resistance. Ooh. +10% fatigue. So get tired. So can use if not on elephant. Has a range. Doesn't have any target limitations. So I guess all generals would get this as well. 30-second boost, 120-second cooldown, fairly standard. The ranges are pretty generous here, 75 meters. I think it ranges from 50 to 75, and 75 is definitely the bigger side. I think something like distant courage for Yuansha will be like 150, but that's fairly rare. But overall, pretty useful. This is probably what we will get last, given how we start the skill tree here. We'll probably decide if we want to make this bonus our heir or not fairly early on, and then kind of consider our route with her tree, because we can probably go up here, go through all these, go to this, kind of be winding down this way. If we are more combat oriented, where we don't need to worry about faction-wide skills, we'll probably just come down level 2, level 3, level 4, pick this up early. 4% is decent. Alright, moving on to Zhuo. I don't think anything was changed with him. Yep, he looks the same. Yes, I think... I'm trying to remember if he had 60 points before. I'm wondering if they gave generals... Okay, they didn't change it. He's still 30 points. That's something that I think could be easily changed by modders. To kind of fix all the points for anyone with art to have 60 points. Now let's look at our brother, Dongmin. He was obviously killed right after we died as well, and we're looking at 8 military supplies in enemy territory. That's useful. I mean, that's the one situation where it's like slightly useful. When you're in enemy territory, you might need it back. Those that says, you know, plus military supply in friendly territory, not so useful. And we're looking at 60 points of stats here, 30 cunning, 30 authority. 50% income from family estate. That's worth 1,000 a turn early on. That's quite strong. What is... We are also rich background, right? No, we don't have any background. Oh, we do. It's the second one. It's not the first one. So we also have 1,000 extra just at the start. And his is not just leader. His is like leader, heir, or prime minister. So it's kind of like saying that if we make him our heir at the beginning, we get 1,000 extra per turn. Okay, 55, 18 instinct, 5% renew upkeep. That seems to be a trend with Dongzhuo's family member. Maybe something like a Vayne type of personality. 8% melee damage for melee infantry. Okay, so we're looking at purple and like yellow dragon units for him. 5% melee attack rate for himself. No unique weapons. Ambitious. That might be a little tough to balance, but at least his family. So we lose 3 public order if we make him into our heir. Well, with her, it's 5 points, so it's not as bad. 10% from all sources. See, that's where you got to do like a math. All sources does not include family estate. It's just tax income. So we're looking at what our base industry, peasantry, silk, spice, that type of income amounts to. So we'll take a look at that to see who will actually be a little bit better. They have the same skill tree start, but definitely different unique skills. We have Order of the Tyrant active buff, speed, range block chance, 5% melee attack rate, unbreakable. Okay. I mean, seems like he specialized in melee infantry, so this is kind of like asking them to charge in while tanking enemy range attacks, maybe scaling a siege. We can block towers with this. Unbreakable, 75-meter range, 30-second duration. Then we're looking at Greedy Tyrant. So it seems like the middle skill is all like a faction-wide boost. So we get 1 point of public order loss, but 5%. And also the minus 1% corruption. I mean, it's great. It's great. We'll rush that. Coward. Oh, this is a very interesting design skill. When below 50%, we lose 50% armor. When above 50%, we gain 100% armor. Are you? Wait. Okay, so that means if we're fighting units with very low armor piercing damage or no armor piercing damage, we basically take no damage. It's hard to find those units, obviously, but there are yellow turban units that have no armor piercing damage, and obviously there's different weapon type, like Gun would have no armor piercing damage, but against most unit you will have some, but that will still make him incredibly tanky with this ability, so definitely a good one to grab. Kind of opposite of Zhuo's Blade Breaker, which is 100% armor once you hit below 50%. So that's a key difference there. But for him, like losing 50% once you drop below 50 means you're at 5%, right? You have 55 base. I mean, if we get some mending generals, we can keep him in tip-top shape, I guess. That's kind of the goal here. Then we have Lady Du. So she is the wife of Qin Yulu. Qin Yulu is a general who worked under Lü Bu. So that's why I think we start with her, because Lü Bu starts with us. And she's known to be very beautiful. And Guan Yu was very aware of her beauty when they were sieging down Lü Bu with Cao Cao. So when Liu Bei and Cao Cao were working together to fight Lü Bu, Guan Yu went to Cao Cao and asked him at the time that after they win the battle, and they're, sharing the spoils of war, Guan Yu wanted her as wife. Because Guan Yu's wife at the time was having trouble giving him sons. And Guan Yu was complaining a lot about that marriage and wanted to get it annulled, basically. And he had his eyes set on her. But after telling Cao Cao about her, Cao Cao got really curious. He said, what type of woman would have Guan Yu, asking for such a favor? So after the battle was over, Cao Cao being the main army, was taking a look at all the hostages, which included her. And Cao Cao saw her, and that was history. He decided that he wanted her, and Lady Du there became Cao Cao's concubine, and had 2 sons for him, I believe. Cao Lin and Cao Gun, I believe. I kind of forgot the second son's name, but I think it's Cao Gun. But Queen Mother of Prince Pei would be Cao Lin. Cao Lin will become Prince of Pei, a princedom. But Cao Lin becomes this title is like way future projection. Cao Lin doesn't become a prince under Cao Cao, obviously, because Cao Cao wasn't an emperor, so he can't hand out princedoms to his sons. And then when Cao Pi became emperor, he can finally hand out his brother's princedoms. He didn't give Cao Lin a princedom. He gave Cao Lin, I believe, a duke title. Basically not as high as prince. He didn't have his own princedom land. It wasn't until Cao Rui, who would be Cao Lin's nephew, became emperor, I think after 226, you know, way after, that he will be made into the Prince of Pei. So we're, you know, 30 something years and one husband too early for her to have some title like this. But yeah, she will eventually be the queen mother for Prince Pei, I guess. And queen mother is kind of a strong word. She's just a concubine consort for Cao Cao, who never even became an emperor. So a lot of I can't say the word right now, but anyways, a lot of things technically wrong with this right now. And we're looking at a lot of stats. 15 points of expertise, 20 points of cunning, 25 points of authority. So what, 60 points? Yeah, 60 points. That's decent amount. I thought it would add up more, but no. 3k population growth, underrated. Pretty good stat to have. 3 public order. Decent. I don't know. It's not super good, but it's not bad. Armor wise, we get 5 base for robe, 15% range block chance, 10% speed, 5% armor for own retinue. Okay. Pretty cool. Nothing too crazy here. I'm interested in the idea between extra armor for commander generals. Like, what unit is this supposed to like buff? Is my concern here. Anyways, dutiful is good. Makes her easy to keep happy. Modest on top of that, so she will never have desire for higher office. That's very good. She can level up. We can use her for assignments or send her out in battle if we want. Her unique skills, dignity. Isn't this a name issue? Yeah, slight name issue, but anyways, this one's an active debuff in melee. You have to use this when you're in melee, okay? So you have to be fighting something. You can use this and engage in a duel or attack order, not on an elephant. 50-meter radius. So this would be enemy only, right? Debuff would be targeting enemy only. They will lose 85% speed and 100% melee evasion. Ooh. Okay, this is really good for dueling and also really good for kiting away because of the speed debuff. Dueling obviously be the 100% melee evasion. Now I'm not sure if she should... Oh, she doesn't have to be the one dueling because it's 50-meter range. So you can just fight something next to a duel and then use it and impact the duel. The thing is, you can't use this like as Wisdom River anytime you want any place in the open field. You have to be in combat. That's slightly trickier. Right, you have to have combat happening around your dueling generals for this to really work. But you can also just debuff this on a bunch of enemy units, obviously still helps. And the speed debuff is like amazing for like setting up your range siege weapons or your range units to just have constant fire on the enemy as they get slowed down to basically nothing as they approach you. 85% debuff is pretty much immobilized. I think it's close enough. Unyielding Earth, so we kept this one. Encouragement. Okay, why is there two oh, nice. This is a stackable bonus within 25 meters and a single bonus between 25 and 50 meters. That's a smart way to code this. So think of this as 2 circles, right? In the inner core, you get the 10% damage boost for melee, and then the outer core also gets it, but the inner core gets it twice. So you get 20% if you're within 25 meters of her, and 10% if you're between 25 and 50 meters of her. And it's a passive bonus, so it's just always on. And if you look at this, when you learn the skill, look above, you get the 5% damage for the whole army as well. Very, very, very nice. I mean, I like how they put all the good skills on the far side just so you gotta work towards them, but you still get one to start with. For her, she doesn't have a unique middle skill, which is a little different from the 2 that we saw earlier, but probably more balanced this way. This will be Lu Bu's actual wife, and she's still just normal. We don't see Lu Bu's family tree, but I'm assuming Lu Ji would be a kid in our faction right now. Jia looks the same, minus the salary being cheaper, that's good. Zhuo, I think he deserves some artwork. He's a great general during this period. Had direct conflict with the likes of Cao Cao and Sun Jian and won both, so definitely worth featuring. Gao Shun here starts out with 2 level up that we can pick. Right, so he has like an incredible combo that's probably a bug, but it's probably never going to get fixed again. So Scattering Blow will increase your melee attack range by 100%. What this means is, imagine you're waving your spear, which is what he has right here, the line breaker. So you're waving your spear. Now think of a projection force that comes from the contact point, doubling the distance of your range. That's what this is, right? It's dealing extra damage. But when you have this activated and then you use Flame of the Phoenix, which is a splash damage, apparently weapon damage because it's a melee attack, what happens here is your splash radius at the most outer point is considered a hit. So it expands by 100%. You end up with this mini nuke of a Flame of the Phoenix where you just slam down twice the radius, which is more than double the area. Double the radius, you actually get 4 times the area, and you just basically do 4 times the potential damage that you would do with a regular Flame of the Phoenix, which makes him incredibly strong with this combo. I don't think it's ever intended to be this way, but now we're stuck with it, so we better enjoy it. And we're going to gear him towards that, I think. So I think we'll probably grab mobility into Fury, grab the Scattering Blow, which is also very useful on walls. So you send him on the wall, have him whack people on the wall, pretty good here. Yeah, he has minus 50% desire from higher office, so I think once we level him up twice, he's gonna have like 12 points less. I can do my math. Oh, actually, do I want Zeal? Right, Zeal plus Scattering Blow would be really good as well, but this combo is too hard to resist, so let's just start here. Next turn, I think he will drop, because it's only 50% here. Nothing else was changed. I think these are all the same. Unless they change his background. No, this is still the same. Unfortunately, his background here is completely useless since we can't gain access to Camp Crushers and Flying Riders. Those are Lu Bu's unique unit. Oh, he has 50% on his background, so he has 100%. He'll never drop points. Wonderful. Level him up all we want. Okay, then we have this beautiful lady here, Eternal Beauty. Yeah, agree with that. Cao Cao almost died for her, if you come think about it. What happened to her afterwards? No idea. But she is the wife of Zhang Ji, as we mentioned, and I think she does start out with that relationship, yes. And Eternal Beauty gives her 60 points. Resolve and Instinct is quite interesting. She is a strategist. -1 satisfaction faction-wide. I think this is continuing the trend of Beauty, right? Beauty also has that minus faction-wide type of bonus, and this is activated right away. Like, we have this activated because this doesn't say if you're heir or anything like that. 700. That's a weird number. Yeah, that's a weird number, but helpful. -1 public order. Okay. Oh, Wisdom River. No unique skill. Lament. Active buff. Targeting a general. Increase their damage by 75%. Increase their melee attack rate by 50%. Immune them to fatigue. And also make them berserk for 25 seconds. The immune to fatigue is interesting because what happens is that it will make you fresh, I'm guessing, because you won't, whatever fatigue level you are, you're immune to fatigue, so you're actually going to become fresh. After the 25 seconds, do you keep fresh? Because if so, if it's a fatigue reset, that's pretty insane on top of all the damage. Just got to test that out to see what exactly happens here. Fatal Attraction. One use only. Targets a general. Fatigue them. And immobilizes them. There's some interesting aspect of this that we're not going to go too deep into, but we can see how this works. Fatigue now on the new patch, back to being serious about gameplay mechanics, is actually super damaging because if you're fatigued at the max level, you can lose, I think, 12 points of your morale and also 30% of your damage on top of losing speed. So this is actually a huge debuff on top of immobilize, require enemy general target. So I guess our goal would be level her up and then use this on Cao Cao in the future just for story's sake. But yeah, we get to level her up from the beginning. She's already having that desire for higher office being level 3. Charismatic, okay. And fertile. Huh. Not sure about that historically. I think this should be given to like Lady Du, which is would be why Guan Yu would want her. And he had 2 sons with Cao Cao, so that would be pretty true. I don't think we're gonna make her our administrator. She seems fairly combat focused with these 2 skills, so I think we're just gonna go over here, maybe put her in our army. Her armor gives her retinues fatigue resistance. A lot about fatigue. Yeah, maybe, you know, having this as your leading general is easy on the eyes and fatigue is just out of the window. And then our last general, her husband, Zhang Ji. We talked about this before, where I believe the game has the wrong Zhang Ji for the purpose. So technically, there are 2 people with the same exact name during this time period. Zhang Ji, the warlord that belongs to Zhuo, as well as Zhang Ji, who has style name Zhongjing, Zhang Zhongjing, who's a famous doctor. And looking at the traits, I think this is the doctor. This is not the warlord. But it's okay. I think it's confused. It's fine. It's not going to impact gameplay. I might fire him. Like, there's no incentive to really keep him. I could try to get him killed. Saves me divorce money, and then we can have her available to be married off to someone. But yeah, that is our roster. Now we got to decide some gameplay mechanics. We got to decide who we want to make heir and how do we want to take our turn 1, because we haven't done a thing yet. We started with representationist, which is not bad for trade. Wife or brother? Wife or brother? Okay, so some quick math. The wife in the long run is going to be better because I know for a fact, you know, once we get some income going, it's just 10%. It's going to be better than 1,000 for sure. Right now, we're looking at what this is, 315. Oh my god, 4 passes, so no money there. 315. This is what, 540. 650. Oh dear. So 700 and change, right? 725. 10% of that, 70 something. It's nothing. 1,000 extra per turn will be way better. So Domin wins the job based on that. And we lose less public order. Yeah. I think that's going to be the plan. Oh, well, he starts out in this position anyways, so we don't have to do any swaps. We have these positions open. Lu Bu needs to stay here to be happy. We have 2 administrators in the beginning. I think we start out as Duke, which is why everything's so advanced. Oh, Grandmaster, right? We have something different. It's pretty much Duke. We get the 10 satisfaction from this rank, which is great. Oh no, this will be right below Duke. Once we get to Grandmaster, it will be Duke. We got 1 spy. So the thing is, we didn't get to pick our level ups. That's not cool, but we got to deal with that. 4 army points, 1 spy point, 2 administrator points, 3 assignment points, 2 trade points. So we get 24 points total for normal factions. I don't know if that's the case with us because we only have 2 more to spend. It looks like we have spent 5, 10, 12 points. So if it's 24... that might be the case. We might get 6 points here, 6 points here. So that means we have 12 more points to spend, and we have spent something in every single category, which means we cannot boost 3 to the max, which would be the optimum play. Now we're going to have to mix and match a little. I don't think we need to maximize assignments because the extra character salary bonus would be less impactful because salaries are lower with the mod. We're probably going to max out army right off the bat to get the retinue discount. So 4 points in army when we get to Grandmaster, and then we'll plan out the rest later. Since we do have spies available from turn 1, let's take a look. No one really interesting. We're also kind of poor. So before we do any fighting, it's best we start with diplomacy. Now we're at war with the world, pretty much, and the High Empire is our vassal. No one's really gonna peace out with us. Cao Cao's gonna be super annoying, and I don't know if we're gonna do much about it. We're just gonna tank up his schemes, which is never an easy thing to do. If he starts by killing our food from the beginning, we might be in trouble from the get-go, but there's really not much we can do about it. And no one really likes us because we're treacherous from the start. Huangzu got his unique artwork here as well. Just noticed that. Alright, Zhang Lu's willing to trade. Liu Biao's willing to trade, maybe. Ma Teng's willing to trade. Okay. So I think we got a general idea of what we want to do. Before we do it, we got to also introduce our unique mechanic, right? We have intimidation. There is 3 tiers. This value goes from 0 to 100. I think it's 30 and 70. That's the 2 breakpoints. First 30 points, a lot of negative stats. You do not want to be in this position. This is kind of the neutral slot. We get +2 Imperial Favor. We lose 2 points decay every turn, 2 points of public order, -15% corruption. That's very helpful. And we're at this final tier here, which 4 points Imperial Favor, that will be stacked passively even as the Emperor's not of age yet. So that will be helpful for when he turns of age. We'll start out with a relatively high value, 8 points of public order. That's also very helpful given that both Dong Zhuo and Dong Min will lose public order based on cruel backgrounds and whatever his greedy tyrant title is. Scare faction-wide, that's fairly nice. Basically, if our units are near enemy units, they will lose morale. That is just great. 25% corruption reduction. Okay. And we gain intimidation by integrating Han territories, by executing characters, by raising settlements, or winning battles. Integrating Han territories will give us intimidation. I didn't know that. Looking at our strategy going forward, we want to take over Ma Teng's faction ideally. He has a lot of family members that are just like amazing. He is, oh, they married everyone off, didn't they? Did they mess with the family tree to the point where we can't? I mean, Ma Chao's not of age yet, of course. Oh, let's just spend a little time looking at family trees. Oh, nothing's changed here. Oh, Wang Quan's wife, I believe, was also made into a unique character here. Right, Huangzu has art. Coronel's still single. Okay, so he is 14. When he comes of age, Dongbai will be made available to him. And then we might do an instant divorce so that he will not be a distant relative, and we can steal the daughter as well. Our brother, maybe? I mean, we'll instantly divorce, don't worry. Not going to actually set up the marriage. Just so that we can steal these characters, so that we can use them. Or if we can vassalize them, that would be like the most optimal thing, but that might be, you know, too hard to do. But at least we can get the kids. Right, Wang Quan's wife. Usually he dies, right? Then she's probably wandering around and we can try to recruit her. Lady Feng. Okay, so they made Zhang Yan's wife the queen of the Black Mountains. Can't see the bonus, but I'm curious. We can never annex them because they're bandits, so we have to capture her in battle. Or hope someone wipes the faction out and they come to us. She does start out with her partner in crime and the two other bandits, they're just not family. Okay, so that's all the family tree. Right, so we can plan out marriages for Ma Chao's faction in the future. Right now, we will start with some trade. Zhang Lu. So his opinion of us is very, very low, and it's based on faction influence, which is just ancient history, basically, between us. Well, can't do much about this, though. If I can... Oh, right. You can also use 30 points of intimidation for diplomatic value, which is huge. This is really good for when we want to maybe force some vassalizations around. I don't want to vassalize him. Where is... On turn 1, it's definitely not happening. Especially we're currently at -1. Right. If this value goes down, we can make something happen for sure. Alright. We have 3 trade routes, which is actually quite a lot. I doubt we can get all 3 set up, but we'll start with Zhanghu. I'm not going to play around with the numbers. I think this is what we're going to get. Yeah, I doubt we can do much with this. Alright, we're currently at -1 with them. 3.9. Like, I could trade something like this away, but it's probably only worth 1. With Ma Teng, it's kind of weird. I think usually after we fight our first battle, his opinions would shift a little and it would actually be a lot better. Let's first fight our first battle then, and we'll come back to this afterward. And because we are trying to do deals afterward, we don't want to take any damage. So we have to fight this manually. Be pretty quick. And something does not change regardless of whether we use mods or not. It's gonna rain. And we're gonna charge in here. Let's see, there's gotta be an easier place to charge in. Any trees? Oh, there's some trees here. Yeah, we'll do that. Wait, when did we learn? That's new. Is that on the weapon or something? No way. I gotta look at his tree. I'm guessing this is a family skill, right? So maybe the father and daughter together in battle. Right, okay. So right now it's not activated. We gotta wait for Luizi to come of age. Alright, each of them got tagged a little, but no, not big deal. What's their morale? 13 points. Alright, we're gonna go capture that. Reduce them by 10 points there. If the cavalry wants to fight, I'm down. But I think we want to win this with morale, just quicker that way. We'll use it.
起勇气，进攻！注意，敌军四散而逃，到底是无胆鼠
We'll save
辈
the smash until the second one comes. This one we'll just chase down a little. Make sure they don't bounce back. Because the roar is going to time out, of course. But if they take enough damage. There we go.
看，走快点，进军！跑起来，加快脚步，
And the roar should be back on.
时机已至，污灭敌军！杀！准备好了，时机已至，准备开战！
Smash.
鼓起勇气，诛灭敌军！
I want to be in the center where the roar can affect everyone. Yes.
做好准备，
And then we focus on the cavalry, which should be the toughest unit to rout. Maybe aside from the captain. There we go. We win.
加快速度，
Piece of cake.
加速前进。
Alrighty. So that's our first mission.
我很满意。
Clean win. A little bit of damage. I think one shot each from tower. 10 points intimidation per battle. That's what I remember from before. Now we want to spend some because we don't want to go over, 100. That's just wasting points. There's also the raise ability, which is actually burning it down to the ground, and then you have to recolonize, which is a pain, but it does give you 8 intimidation. We don't need that right now. We're just going to occupy.
此城归我军所有了。
Build a building anywhere. Alright, let's go back to diplomacy real quick. I believe the value should change, and we also get a new neighbor. 2.1. It did change, it got better. Han Sui is our new neighbor here. Hold on. Right, we have existing deals with... I'm trying to play around with the value to make it work for us. Because I'm pretty convinced. So say that we have Ma Teng here. Currently, our attitude to each other is negative, but it's trending upward. So all we really need to do is make some deal, and any deal will do, and it will refresh that value. So for example, if I just give him 1 copper here, we're at positive 2, and I believe the threshold is 15 for the first big change. Yeah, so we have to get to 15. That's not going to happen because he's not going to have any positive value, so it's not going to make any change. I'm just trying to see if I can tweak it so that value's not so negative. Doesn't seem possible, so we're just going to first trade with Han Sui here. -7. Opinion on this idea is super low as well. I don't think we're spending that 30 points right off the bat. No, your generals did not get artworks, did not get cool skills, so we're not going to marry them. I don't think we can combine this with anything. We can give him the one food that we do have in order to get some money back. Oh, but he's so poor. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm usually not the kind to give free stuff, but it seems like that's what we have to do here. Go for it. Okay, see, now we can demonstrate something here. So he's trending towards 20%, 20 points, not 20%. So right now, 4.9 here on this deal. And most of the reason why it's 4.9 is because his opinion of us is low, right? It's not just respectability. Respectability is our treacherous stuff. Distance is distance between our factions. But 13 is mainly the opinion. And opinion is based on attitude. So right now the attitude is bad. So the threshold I mentioned is at 15 points. So if we can just tweak it by giving him 1 copper a turn, it'll take us a little effort. So I guess we can go here, be a little quicker to click him every time.
朋友，别来无恙。
And we'll just give him 1. It's probably take about 5
深
copper
思熟虑，
coins.
总能达成一
He's
致。
at 8 now.
很高兴与你见面。
Third coin.
深思熟虑，
11.
总能达成一致。
So 2 more tries, I'm pretty sure. It's going to be a declining factor of the distance to the max each time, so it's
如
kind
此
of
慷慨，
gonna
我
slow
方定
down a
当接
little.
受。
And
我已迫
finally
不及待，
15.
聆
I
听
think
足
the
下佳
tiers
言。
are 15 and 60, and then 100 something, but I don't remember the
从
next
长
tier
远
up.
看，这对
Okay,
你我
but
都
we're
十
we're
分
over
有利。
15 now, right? Or exactly 15. That's fine. So if we go back to the same deal, you see how it's changed.
朋友，
His
别来
opinion
无恙。
dropped 1 point, right? It's I know it's 1 point, but like the idea is that we can change diplomatic value this way by keeping them at a higher value, basically. Not gonna help us here because we're not actually gonna get much. That's the same thing if you're trading for items, right? Could make a big difference because most of the value that the AI give you is based on the opinion on this idea, and if their opinion is high, you're not gonna get the item for good value. Our goal is to get another trade route, Liu Biao or Ma Teng. Ma Teng came down a little bit.
很荣幸再相见。
I can pay him. That's one option. He's not rich, so he's not gonna ask for too much. All right, not a penny more. The trade is worth 440, so we'll get this back in 2 turns. And the other concern we have is whether we want to have Ma Teng's land, right? Because he does start out with a very nice silk that we would love to have, but just way too much. Can we? We might be able to make this happen. Give us a quick second. So we would obviously want all 3 silk. We have 1, that's 2, that's potentially 3.
我已迫不及待， 聆听足下佳言。
Then we're not going to trade for it all. I think we're just going to keep the 1
朋
silk.
友，别来
I'm
无
just going
恙
to。get this deal done. Was it 741? 42. Right, 42. Done.
如此真叫人满意。
Okay. And that's going to really do it for us here. We're not going to use those points. And we're going to deal with the buildings. Now, obviously, we limited kind of our expansion targets because now we can't really fight Ma Teng, Han Sui, or Zhang Lu. But that's okay because I think what we're going to do is first consolidate this area real quick and maybe even claim some of these Han territories to go take care of the bandits just to meet who they have. And I'm also counting on them betraying us by attacking the Han. I want these. So I guess we'll go claim Shuofang first. Diplomacy is over. Let's cleanse our roster a little bit. We don't need these units. We also don't need these units. We're gonna keep... Yeah, we're just gonna keep the army as it is. We're gonna just march up. This one will recall.
谁在叫我？
Lu Bu is gonna shift from Grand Commandant. I can't move him this turn. But we would like him to be in Grand Excellency, because that way we get the increase to income. Oh, I made one mistake. I think Guosi should have been administrator, and I recalled him, so now he's on cooldown. Because he has that 20%. And the 5% to all sources here. Slight mistake. Zhang Liao with the insanely high construction cost discount. It's kind of tempting. Lady Du also has a nice, interesting list of skills. +4 public water, -4, you know, +10% peasantry. Modest. No. I think we'll wait for Guosi to pick up Anding. And then we're gonna put Zhang Liao here in Chang'an. Or Jingzhou. Yeah, we'll set up Anding later. Next turn. What else? Buildings, right, buildings. Jingzhou will get rid of the defensive building. We're getting our food here, but I don't really want to have food. I don't want this food here, I just want that. That's our unique building, which is not that useful for us right now. I mean, it's nice to have a... I mean, conscription buildings are not bad. We just don't need it here. This is going to be more income focused. Are we going to start with a tax collection, though? I don't think we need to. I think we can just jumpstart into the state workshop. Although we'll get we already have discounts. Oh, alright. He's going to have instinct here instead of expertise. We can go for that. Senior officer. I think we can take this off now because we made him administrator. There we go. It's a little bit cheaper. Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay, and we're out of money for everything else, which seems fair. We're making 5,782 per turn here. Support from the people. Satisfaction. Who's low? Right, we gotta assign the assignments too. So these low... The thing is, if he levels up, if Li Zhuo levels up, he's gonna be even more angry. But he can do this, +10 satisfaction, -50% corruption for us. Corruption is a small issue. Yeah, why don't you do that for us right now? That will make everyone satisfied, including like people like Lady Yan. And then we can fire a few people. So I don't really want to do divorces. I'm gonna have to hope he dies somewhere. And oh, right, we can execute him and gain 10 points intimidation. Oh, we cannot just release people. Can we not? Oh, we can. Okay, we can still release from service. Okay. Save his head to execute. Our son-in-law, who is not our son-in-law in this scenario, will get released. Xu Rong, historically great general, but unfortunately the game doesn't really treat him right. We'll also release. We just have too many good generals to spend money on these. And Zhangji. Very tempted by the execute, but I think we'll just release. I'm not gonna remarry her. We'll use her, but we won't remarry her. And I think the way the game works, as long as they're married, even if they're not in the same faction, they can have kids. So that should be an interesting phenomenon as well. Okay, now we can do assignments. So we would like some income boost. And we would like some level up for our brother who needs to be a good heir. And income wise, I think, who do we want to level up? I don't know about leveling her up too much though. It's gonna backfire. I think we should level Jiaxu up just to get patience. So perceptive patience, he can be a good capture general for us. Even though he doesn't want to work here, I think it'll be okay for one level, and then we'll do a swap later. Oh, Lady Yan also doesn't need to stay in the faction. Yeah. Okay, we trimmed roster down to pretty much efficient here. General's been recalled. They're staying on the field because they're going to go claim us some land. And I think we're good to go. We're pretty much trading with all our neighbors, so it's peace. And if enemies are going to come, they're going to have to pass through Hangul Pass, which we are going to level up once just to get that extra stack of retinues. And then we're probably going to send Zhang Liao and maybe able to hold this in the future. But right now, we're going to have them here. Ah, I know what to do. I'm going to recall him and then proxy him for the movement and then recall him too, so that we set up the army with the movement going forward. Any changes here? Negative. Alright, I think we're all set. Let's continue. And we're getting schemed, where we lose 100% charge bonus for all units. This is not just his army. I think every single army in our faction for the next 5 turns will have 0 charge, which is way too much. So we're not going to fight very much. We're going to use these 3 turns to build out our economy. And we'll get growing might when we want to recruit some units. Destroy these factions. We'll keep that in mind. Ah, so the characters being spawned is going to be a little different than the traditional ones in the game, because usually you get a pretty set list on turn 2. She's a spy. She's a spy from Yan Baihu, but she's Yan Baihu's wife, but she does have poison volley, which is super tempting. Alright, we'll pass on the generals. And we're just going to end the episode here. We spent a lot of time taking notes of what's different in the DLC, in the mod, not DLC. And we'll come back and pick things up. We have a pretty general plan of just 5 turns of no fighting, thanks to Cao Cao's schemes. And we have to build up our faction first. We have to get enough food to make sure that we're not going to get hit with that -20 food scheme. I think as long as we have 10 food, we cannot get hit with that scheme at all. So we have to play around that. I'm rooting on for, I'm hoping, Gongdu wins this war with Ma Teng, because in that case we can take over the land and maybe his faction if Gongdu can wipe them. Wonder what the value for trade is now that he has a capital. It's doable. We can buy one, with money. It's not impossible to do, and we can definitely consider it. But yeah, that's going to be our goal moving forward. And if we can buy both of these land from behind his back, he's stuck with 1 piece of land. It's do or die for him between him and Gongdu, and that might kind of serve our purpose as well. So we might look into that. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one, and see you guys next time. Bye.